Marcus Chen had endured 3 years of casual cruelty disguised as workplace banter. 3 years of being the punchline to jokes about his height, his accent, his meticulous work habits. 3 years of watching his ideas get dismissed in meetings, only to be praised when repeated by someone else. 3 years of forcing smiles when his colleagues nicknamed him Mini Marcus or made exaggerated bowing gestures whenever he entered a room. But on a rain-soaked Tuesday in November, something inside him finally snapped. The morning had started like any other at Brennan and Associates, a mid-sized marketing firm housed in a glass tower that reflected Seattle's perpetually gray sky. Marcus arrived at 7:30, as he always did, brewing the first pot of coffee and reviewing the presentation he'd spent the weekend perfecting. The Sakamoto account, a major Japanese automotive client, was the biggest pitch of the quarter, and Marcus had poured his soul into understanding their cultural expectations, their brand values, their vision for the American market. By 9 o'clock, the conference room was filling up. Derek Brennan, the founder's nephew and the firm's creative director, sprawled in his chair with the casual arrogance of someone who'd never had to earn his position. Beside him sat Jennifer Walsh, the account manager who'd built her career on taking credit for other people's work. The rest of the team filtered in 8 people who'd watched Marcus being diminished for years and said nothing. "All right, let's see what our little origami master has folded up for us today," Derek announced, his voice dripping with condescension as Marcus connected his laptop to the projector. A few people chuckled. Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but he forced himself to focus. The presentation opened with a stunning visual, Mount Fuji at sunrise, transitioning into the sleek lines of Sakamoto's newest hybrid model. He'd worked with a freelance animator, paying out of his own pocket to create something that would resonate with their Japanese partners. The Sakamoto brand represents the marriage of tradition and innovation, Marcus began, his voice steady despite the tension coiling in his chest. Their company history spans 4 generations, but their vision is firmly focused on the future. Our campaign needs to honor both aspects. He clicked to the next slide, revealing the tagline he'd crafted. Heritage drives tomorrow. "Oh, that's rich," Jennifer interrupted, not even bothering to raise her hand. "Heritage, they're selling cars, Marcus, not history lessons. Americans don't care about some Japanese family tree." "Actually, the research shows," Marcus started. "The research." Derek cut him off with a theatrical groan. "You mean the 10-page thesis you probably wrote at 3 in the morning? Come on, Marcus. We need something punchy, not a documentary." Marcus felt heat rising to his face. "If you'd let me finish." "How about this?" Derek said, leaning back and lacing his fingers behind his head. "Instead of boring everyone with your Wikipedia deep dive, why don't you just admit you're out of your depth on this one? Stick to what you're good at, the spreadsheets, the data entry, the small stuff." He paused, then added with a smirk, "No pun intended." The room erupted in laughter. Not everyone, Tom from accounting looked uncomfortable, and Sarah from HR stared at her notepad, but enough people laughed to make Marcus's stomach turn. "That's inappropriate," Marcus said quietly. "What was that?" Derek cupped his ear mockingly. "Speak up, buddy. Use your big boy voice." More laughter. Jennifer was practically cackling, her perfectly manicured hand covering her mouth in a gesture of fake courtesy. Marcus looked around the table, meeting the eyes of people he'd worked alongside for years. Some looked away. Others seemed genuinely amused. "I said," Marcus repeated louder this time, "that's inappropriate. I've prepared a comprehensive strategy based on actual market research and cultural consulting. If you'd like to hear it, I'm happy to continue. If not, then this meeting is a waste of everyone's time." Derek's smile faded slightly. He wasn't used to pushback. "Whoa, easy there, Tiger. Someone's feeling feisty today. Did you forget to eat your Wheaties or, sorry, your rice?" He glanced around the table, playing to his audience. "See what happens when you skip breakfast." The racist jab hung in the air like poison gas. Marcus felt something crack inside him, not break, but crack, like ice fracturing before it shatters completely. In that moment, he saw his future with crystalline clarity. More years of this, more humiliation, more watching mediocre people advance while he stayed small, stayed silent, stayed grateful for whatever scraps they threw him. "You know what, Derek?" Marcus said, his voice eerily calm as he disconnected his laptop from the projector. "I'm done." "Done with what?" Derek asked, still grinning. "The presentation. Well, yeah, we could all tell that wasn't going anywhere. Done with this." Marcus gestured around the room. "All of it. You, this team, this company." He carefully coiled his laptop cable, moving with deliberate precision. "I've spent 3 years being your punchline. 3 years listening to comments about my height, my background, my work ethic. 3 years watching you steal ideas from this little origami master and present them as your own." Derek's face reddened. "Hey, if you can't take a joke." "A joke is meant to be funny for everyone," Marcus said, sliding his laptop into his bag. "What you do is called bullying. There's a difference, though I wouldn't expect you to understand nuance." Jennifer found her voice, though it was pitched higher than usual. "Marcus, you're overreacting. We're all friends here." "We're not friends, Jennifer." Marcus turned to her, and she actually flinched at the ice in his eyes. "Friends don't claim other people's work. Friends don't mock each other in front of clients. The Henderson campaign last spring. That was my concept, the Peterson rebranding, mine. You've built your entire promotion track on my ideas, and we both know it." That's not," she stammered. "True, should I forward you the original pitch documents, the ones with my name and timestamp on them, the ones you asked to review before magically presenting identical campaigns the next day?" The room had gone silent. Tom was staring at Jennifer with a new expression, calculation mixed with disgust. Even Derek had lost his smirk. Marcus continued packing his things with methodical calm. "I have copies of everything, by the way, every email, every document, every stolen concept. I've been documenting it for 18 months, ever since I realized what was happening. I kept hoping someone would notice, that someone would care, but you all just laughed along." He zipped his bag and slung it over his shoulder. "The Sakamoto presentation, it's brilliant. It would have landed us a $5 million account and established us as the go-to firm for Asian Pacific markets. But you'll never see it now. I'll be taking it with me." "You can't do that," Derek said, standing up abruptly. "That's company property. You developed it on company time." "Actually, I developed it on my own time. Nights, weekends, my own money for the animation work. Check my time logs. I never billed a single hour to this project because I knew you'd find a way to take credit for it. It's mine, and it's leaving with me." Marcus walked toward the door, and for a moment no one moved. Then Derek's voice cracked like a whip. "You walk out that door, Chen, and you'll never work in this industry again. I'll make sure of it." Marcus paused, his hand on the doorknob. When he turned back, he was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in years. "You know what's funny, Derek?" Your uncle started this company on the principle of respect and innovation. He'd be ashamed of what you've turned it into. And as for blackballing me, he pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, and showed the screen to the room. I'm already in talks with Morrison and Klein. They've been courting me for months. Turns out when you actually do good work, people notice, even if your current employer doesn't. Derek's face went from red to pale. Morrison and Klein was their biggest competitor. Oh, and one more thing, Marcus added. The Sakamoto people, I've been in direct contact with their marketing director, Yuki Tanaka. We've developed a relationship over the past 6 months. He specifically requested to work with me, not Brennan and Associates. When I told him I was considering other opportunities, he said their contract offer was contingent on my involvement. So when you lose that account, and you will, you'll know exactly why. Jennifer made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a whimper. $5 million gone. Marcus opened the door, then paused one last time. For 3 years, I made myself small because I thought that's what I needed to do to survive here. I laughed at jokes that hurt. I let you minimize my contributions. I told myself it would get better, that hard work would eventually be rewarded. But the only thing I was rewarded with was more contempt. He looked at each person around the table, his gaze lingering on those who'd stayed silent while he was mocked. You taught me an important lesson. Never make yourself small for people who will never see you as anything but small. Thank you for that. I mean it. You pushed me just far enough that I finally found my spine again. Tom cleared his throat. Marcus, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have said something. Marcus nodded at him. You should have, but you didn't. None of you did. That tells me everything I need to know about this place. He walked out, leaving the door open behind him. His footsteps echoed down the hallway, steady and certain, while behind him the conference room erupted into chaos. He could hear Derek shouting, Jennifer's voice rising in panic, people talking over each other in a cacophony of blame and fear. Marcus didn't look back. At his desk, he packed the few personal items he'd kept there. A photo of his grandmother, the bonsai tree he'd nurtured for 2 years, a small jade Buddha that had belonged to his father. His hands didn't shake. He felt no urge to cry or rage or second-guess. He felt, for the first time in 3 years, free. Mr. Chen? The voice belonged to Patricia, the senior partner's assistant. She was standing by the elevator, holding a folder. Mr. Brennan, the founder, not Derek, would like to see you before you go. Marcus hesitated, then followed her. Robert Brennan's corner office overlooked Elliott Bay, its walls lined with awards and photos spanning 40 years in the business. The old man stood by the window, his shoulders slightly stooped, his hair white as fresh snow. I heard what happened, Robert said without turning around. The whole floor heard what happened. I'm sorry for the disruption, sir. Now Robert turned, and Marcus was surprised to see not anger but something like regret in his eyes. Sorry, son, I'm the one who should be apologizing. I've been semi-retired for 2 years, letting Derek run things day to day. I thought he was ready. I was wrong. Mr. Brennan, I also heard what you said about documentation, about stolen work. Robert moved to his desk and sat down heavily. I'd like to see it, all of it. If what you're saying is true, there are going to be some significant changes around here. Marcus pulled out his phone, navigating to the cloud folder where he'd stored everything. It's all here. Emails, original documents, timestamps, everything. Robert spent 10 minutes scrolling through the files, his expression growing darker with each page. Finally, he set the phone down and rubbed his eyes. 3 years of this, and nobody told me. With respect, sir, people did tell you. I filed 2 formal complaints with HR. They were dismissed as cultural misunderstandings and overreactions to workplace humor. Robert's jaw tightened. I never saw those reports. Jennifer Walsh was dating the HR director at the time. Good God! Robert stood and extended his hand. Marcus, I can't undo what's been done to you here. I can't give you back 3 years of your life, but I can offer you this. Come back. I'll make you creative director. Derek will be demoted or fired if that's what you prefer. I'll clean house in HR. We'll make this right. Marcus shook the offered hand but smiled sadly. That's generous, Mr. Brennan, it really is, but I can't come back. This place has too many ghosts now. Every hallway, every conference room, I just remember what it felt like to be small. I need to go somewhere I can be big. Robert nodded slowly. I understand. Morrison and Klein is getting a hell of an asset. I hope they appreciate you more than we did. As Marcus rode the elevator down for the last time, he checked his phone. 3 messages from Derek, increasingly frantic. One from Jennifer, begging him to reconsider. And one from Yuki Tanaka at Sakamoto, looking forward to working with you at M&K, great things ahead. When Marcus stepped out onto the rain-slicked Seattle street, he tilted his face up to the sky and let the water wash over him. Somewhere above, in that glass tower, his former colleagues were learning a lesson about respect, consequences, and the price of casual cruelty. Marcus Chen had finally stood up, and in doing so, he'd left them all sitting down, stunned and scrambling in the wreckage of their own making. He walked toward tomorrow, and he didn't look back once.